Toyota cancels TV ads for the Tokyo Olympics. CEO will not attend opening ceremony. The decision underscores the Tokyo Olympics' widespread unpopularity in the host nation of Japan, where people worry that hosting the Games would exacerbate an already rising rate of Delta variant COVID-19 infections. Toyota Motor Corporation, a major corporate supporter of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, has chosen to discontinue all Olympics-related television advertisements in Japan. Japanese media reported Monday that the decision was taken out of concern that connection with the problematic Summer Games, which are highly unpopular in Japan, will damage rather than shine the auto manufacturer's image. The Olympics are eroding popular support, a Toyota public relations official surnamed Nagata told Japan's daily Yomiuri newspaper Monday. Toyota CEO Akio Toyoda and other top executives, the executive said, will not attend the Tokyo Summer Olympics opening ceremony on July 23. Toyota intended to air a series of television commercials in Japan showcasing the company's sponsored Olympic competitors. Now, media experts will be waiting to see whether Toyota's decision, a giant of Japan's corporate world, results in additional domestic sponsors and advertising withdrawing from the Games. Around 6 Japanese firms together spent more than $3 billion on the Tokyo Olympics, the biggest contribution ever made by an Olympic host nation's businesses. Japanese businesses withdrawing from the Games has been a subject of discussion for weeks, owing to the negative sentiments many Japanese people have about the event. With Tokyo under its fourth state of emergency as a result of an increase in Delta variant COVID-19 cases, public anxiety remains strong that holding an event involving tens of thousands of athletes, politicians, and media from all over the globe would jeopardize the lives of local people. Over the weekend, Olympic organizers revealed more than 25 positive coronavirus tests among individuals who came to Japan for the Games, including 2 athletes and 1 organizer who were living in the Olympic Village, which would soon welcome hundreds of participants. Meanwhile, despite organizers' pledges to keep athletes and visitors inside an Olympic bubble during the Games, a Ugandan weightlifter allegedly went missing from his accommodation and was believed to be at large somewhere in Osaka Prefecture. According to a survey published Monday by the Asahi newspaper, 68% of respondents expressed concern about the Olympic organizers' capacity to manage coronavirus infections, while 55% expressed opposition to the Games proceeding as planned. With the Games beginning in 4 days, just little more than 20% of Japan's population is completely vaccinated against the new coronavirus. Along with television advertising, several of Japan's big Olympic sponsors plan to conduct large-scale on-the-ground marketing operations to generate interest for their products amid the event's frenzy. Those intentions, however, were dashed 2 weeks ago when Olympic officials imposed a ban on spectators at virtually all Olympic sites. 15 Japanese businesses, including Asahi Breweries, the official beer of the Tokyo Olympics, each paid about $135 million to become Tokyo 2020 Gold Partners, the highest level of sponsorship available to domestic companies for a single Games. Meanwhile, Japan and its taxpayers are projected to have spent more than $26 billion on the Games hosting, including extra costs associated with the year-long delay. When Tokyo was awarded the 2020 Summer Olympics in 2013, organizers predicted that spectators, mostly incoming foreign tourists, would spend approximately $2 billion on tickets, hotels, meals, and merchandise, and that the word-of-mouth effect of the foreign influx and attention, dubbed legacy effects, would generate an additional $10 billion in inbound tourist spending over the coming decade. However, under existing limitations, almost all of Japan's expected economic gain has been squandered. Angela Merkel pledges a rapid response to climate change in the wake of Germany's floods. German Chancellor Angela Merkel visited the country's horrific aftermath of record floods on Sunday and promised to step up efforts to fight climate change, as the death toll reportedly rose to more than 180. Merkel, who characterized the devastation she saw as terrifying, promised to accelerate efforts to clean up the damage caused by the catastrophic floods. According to the BBC, she said, "We are on your side." As of Sunday morning, the publication claimed that at least 188 people have died in Belgium and Germany due to the catastrophic floods. Merkel said she had a genuine image of, I must say, the strange, eerie scenario, after visiting the German city of Schuld, one of the worst affected regions. "It's awe-inspiring. I almost feel as though the German language lacks the vocabulary necessary to describe the devastation wreaked, Merkel allegedly said. Merkel, a seasoned German politician, expressed delight at the sight of Germans banding together to help one another. However, what I saw was also very reassuring. How people are staying together, how they are assisting one another, the unity that exists. Fortunately, Germany is a fiscally sound country, Merkel said, according to the Associated Press. Merkel requested that world leaders be more aggressive in the fight against climate change, in reaction to the floods that devastated Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, the BBC said. Germany is a powerful nation, and we will confront this force of nature in the near term, but also in the medium and long term, via policies that place a higher premium on environment and climate than in previous years, she told the AP. That, too, will be necessary. On Thursday, record rains in Western Europe smashed down buildings and washed away cars, wreaking havoc on the nation and its neighbors. The death toll and number of missing persons have continued to rise in the days after the downpour. Malu Dreyer, the governor of Rhineland-Palatinate, bemoaned the devastation caused by the floods in his region. There are individuals who have been killed, there are others who have gone missing, and there are more who remain in danger, Dreyer said last week. We have never seen such devastation. It's really heinous. UK's Boris Johnson makes a U-turn and enters isolation following COVID contact. Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, will enter self-isolation for 10 days after contact with a confirmed COVID-19 case. Johnson and his senior finance officer, Rishi Sunak, reversed course after recent interaction with Health Secretary Sajid Javid, who tested positive for COVID-19 on Saturday. Johnson and Sunak first said that they would not isolate since they would be participating in a trial program that required daily coronavirus testing to avoid quarantine. However, this sparked outrage among opponents, who accused government officials of using a double standard. When the National Health Service informs an individual of close contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19, the individual is advised to self-isolate for 10 days, but this is not a legal obligation. Nonetheless, opponents pointed out that hundreds of thousands of people had been put into quarantine, and the pilot program seemed like another plan to ensure the strong could escape following the same laws as the rest of us. Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak have been busted yet again for thinking the rules that we are all following don't apply to them, opposition Labour Party leader Keir Starmer said. Johnson said Sunday that although they did look briefly at the idea of us taking part in the pilot scheme, I think it's far more important that everybody sticks to the same rules, and that's why I'm going to be self-isolating until Monday the 26th of July. Johnson and Sunak's reversal became a major topic of discussion Sunday as the administration raced to get everything in place for what British media sources are dubbing Freedom Day. The government will remove COVID-19 related restrictions on Monday, at a time when instances of the highly transmissible Delta form have been on the rise. This is a wager that vaccinations will continue to be successful in preventing serious disease and death even if infection rates rise. If successful, it could serve as a model for other high vaccination rate countries to emulate. However, there are numerous risks, including the possibility of the emergence of a vaccine-resistant variant. Additionally, there is a danger that rising cases could grind the economy to a stop if a large number of individuals are driven into isolation. Johnson said on Sunday that the moment has come to remove limitations. If we don't do it now, when will we ever do it? He said. This is the appropriate time, but we must go carefully. We must keep in mind that this infection is still active. The Washington Post reports that an investigation reveals that Israeli-designed malware was used to hack journalists and activists worldwide. 37 smartphones belonging to journalists, human rights activists, business executives, and 2 women connected to the assassinated Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi were targeted by military-grade spyware, licensed to governments by an Israeli company, according to an investigation published Sunday by a consortium of media organizations, including The Washington Post. The Post stated Sunday that the phones were on a list of over 50,000 numbers concentrated in nations known to conduct domestic surveillance, and were known to be customers of the firm, NSO Group, whose Pegasus malware is purportedly licensed to monitor terrorists and big criminals. According to the newspaper, the investigation, which was assisted by Amnesty International and Forbidden Stories, a Paris-based journalism nonprofit, was able to identify over 1,000 people from more than 50 countries through research and interviews on 4 continents. Several members of the Arab royal family, at least 65 business executives, and 85 human rig workers. Numerous heads of state and prime ministers' telephone numbers were also included on the list. The Post reports that the list includes the phone numbers of reporters working abroad for CNN, the Associated Press, Voice of America, The New York Times, The Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg News, France's Le Monde, the United Kingdom's Financial Times, and Qatar's Al Jazeera. The publication made no reference to the reporters in their article. According to the Post, the list does not indicate who placed the numbers on it or why, and it is unclear how many of the phones were targeted or monitored. CNN has not independently confirmed the results of Forbidden Stories' Pegasus Project study. NSO Group vehemently disputed the investigation's findings in a long response to CNN on Sunday, stating that it sells its technology only to law enforcement and intelligence agencies of approved countries for the express purpose of saving lives by preventing crime and terrorist actions. NSO does not run the system and has no access to the data, the firm said, adding that it would continue to examine any credible allegations of abuse and take necessary action based on the findings. Additionally, NSO said that their technologies are now being utilized to disrupt pedophilia networks, sex and drug trafficking rings, find missing and abducted children, locate survivors trapped under fallen structures, and defend airspace from disruptive infiltration by hazardous drones. While many of the numbers on the list were in the Middle East, including Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, the Post reported that the greatest number was in Mexico, where more than 15,000 numbers were on the list, including those belonging to politicians, union representatives, journalists, and other government critics. According to the publication, the list also includes India, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, France, and Hungary. According to the Post, the inquiry revealed numbers of about a dozen Americans working abroad were located on the list, in all but one instance while using phones registered to foreign cellular networks. The consortium was unable to conduct forensic examination on the vast majority of these phones. According to the newspaper, NSO had said for years that its software cannot be used to monitor American phones, and that the investigation found no evidence of effective spyware infiltration on phones with the U.S. country code. According to the Post, the spyware was developed a decade ago with the assistance of Israeli ex-cyber spies and is designed to easily circumvent typical smartphone privacy measures, such as strong passwords and encryption, and can attack phones without warning users, and read anything on a device that a user can, while also stealing photos, recordings, location records, and communication. Additionally, the Post reported that malware may enable the activation of cameras and microphones for real-time monitoring. According to the publication, the Pegasus malware may begin an assault in a variety of methods, including through a malicious link in an SMS text message or an iMessage. According to the Post, some spyware firms employ zero-click assaults, which distribute malware merely by sending a message to a user's phone that generates no warning. Users do not even need to touch their phones, the Post said of such assaults. The publication said that in the case of Khashoggi, the malware targeted the 2 women closest to the late Washington Post writer, who was assassinated in October 2018. During the days after his death, his fiancée's phone, Hatice Sengiz's, was successfully infected, and his wife's phone, Hanan Alater's, was targeted by someone using Pegasus in the months before his murder. Amnesty was unable to assess the effectiveness of the hack, the Post said. In a response, NSO denied that their technology was used in connection with Khashoggi's death, stating that, "Our technology was not utilized to listen to, monitor, track, or gather information about him or his family members referenced in the investigation." Australia will deport Katie Hopkins, a right-wing British writer, after a quarantine violation. Australia will deport prominent right-wing British pundit Katie Hopkins after she confessed to violating the country's quarantine laws on Monday, Australia's Home Affairs Minister announced. Hopkins travelled to Sydney, according to Australian media, to participate in Seven Network's reality television show Big Brother VIP. However, she incited public anger when she joked on Instagram about opening the door nude and without a mask to persons bringing food while she was in hotel quarantine. To prevent transmission, all new visitors to Australia must spend 2 weeks in a hotel quarantine. where they must wear a mask before meals are served and wait 30 seconds before collecting the food. Hopkins' video, which was subsequently deleted, sparked widespread outrage, since it prevented hundreds of Australians from returning to the country. Australia has been limiting the amount of people admitted for months, and foreign nationals are not allowed to enter unless granted special permission. Australia's Minister for Home Affairs, Karen Andrews, requested a review of the decision to grant Hopkins a visa and announced on Monday that the government had chosen to deport the pundit. All visa holders must adhere to our health authorities' health directives. Those who do not will not be tolerated, according to Andrews. He spoke with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. As soon as we can arrange for her to leave the country, we will do so. The drama is the latest episode in Hopkins' controversial career, which has seen her incite anger with incendiary anti-immigrant comments, earning her the wrath of the UN's human rights head. Hopkins was forced to resign from numerous British news sites in 2017 after public outrage, and has lately used Instagram to cast doubt on the pandemic's severity and the magnitude of government countermeasures.